Okay, so an important aspect of Pesach, of course, the one that might jump out at you more than anything else, is the prohibition not to eat Chometz. And I guess that comes hand in hand, in a way, with the mitzvah to eat matzah. I was actually learning about it. There are 5 mitzvos in the Torah that are related to this. So it's a very, I don't know if the word is like intense sin to eat chametz. The Torah says, don't eat chametz. The Torah says, don't eat anything that has chametz within it, like an ingredient or a byproduct, such as beer, for example, or cholent. You know, you might not look at cholent as bread, but it still would be a problem. Don't have chametz in your possession. Chametz should not be seen in your possession. Destroy all the chametz before Pesach comes, and then you have your mitzvahs related to eating the matzah itself. So why is this such a big deal? So why we're gonna dive beneath the surface here, okay? All the basic ideas of what it represents, we're not gonna talk about so much. We're gonna dive down to the heart and soul of what chametz represents. Because if it's so terrible, there must be something deeper here. It must represent something. We had this conversation regarding Purim as well with Amalek. If Amalek is so terrible that they must be destroyed, there must be something that they represent that is a terrible idea or something. So what is that? So the Zohar says that, and this is brought down in several places, that chametz represents in this way the Yetzer Hara, which is the se'ar shebe'isa, which is like the yeast in the dough, okay? That's what chametz represents. So just like if you put a little yeast into your dough mixture, that's what makes bread into leavened bread. That's what makes dough rise, is that little bit of yeast. It's a tiny little bit. If you see how much is put in versus the amount of flour and water, it's tiny. And that makes the whole thing rise. So too, the Yetzer Hara wants to put into us. Our evil inclination wants to instill within us this little thing, which we'll identify in a moment, and with that, it's gonna make us chametz. It's gonna make us fully blown up in a bad way, in a contaminated way. So there's different ways that it tries to do this. If I would ask you, how does your Yetzer Hara try to get you? You might have a whole list of ways that your Yetzer Hara tries to get you. But the Biyam Darkecha says that the main way that it puts its poison in you is by introducing gaiva, haughtiness. Haughtiness is the root of evil. And that is one of the Yetzer Hara's favorite tools, is to try to bring out the haughtiness within a person. And that's actually hinted to kind of in this dough. Because if you have dough, it's a little thing of dough. You put in chametz, what happens? Gets all blown up. So that's like a person. When a person gets gaiva, a person gets all full of himself and haughty, right? That's what happens. He stands taller and taller and bigger, and in his world, he's like this big thing, very important. It's all about him. And that's what chametz represents. And in contrast to that, we have matzah. Matzah is pure holiness. Matzah represents humbleness and like submitting ourselves. Matzah is thin and small, right? It's literally the opposite of that. Where chametz is identified as chametz because it is literally big, because it rises, matzah stays flat. Matzah stays humble. Matzah teaches us emunah. Matzah teaches us that to believe that Hashem is everything and that we don't have our own independent power and abilities. We're all just kind of extensions of Hashem in a way. We're gonna explain a little bit more what that means. So there's basically 2 ways that this happens, okay? One is a very simple reminder, because matzah represents something. What does matzah represent? The story of the Exodus, the story of how there wasn't even enough time for the dough to rise in Egypt, and Hashem took the Jewish people out, and that's why, on a surface level, that's why we're eating matzah, or at least that's what it's reminding us of. At the time of the Exodus, at the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim, Hashem showed to the entire world that he controls world affairs. He showed that he's a God, that he has the power to alter nature at will, whatever he wants to do, and that he cares about the Jewish people. He's getting involved in our affairs. He's helping us. He's punishing our oppressors, etc. So he showed everybody that he's the true boss. So if we're reminded of that story, we'll be humbled. We'll recognize who's the true boss of the world. Ein od milvado. There's nobody but Hashem. So that's how eating matzah is a reminder. But on a much deeper level, on a more of a Kabbalistic level, it's not just a reminder. Okay, I'm eating it. Hopefully I'm having a moment of mindfulness where I recognize what this is. I'm remembering what this represents, and I'm becoming a little more humble from that. But besides that, there's actually this special power that matzah has to fill us with emunah, to fill us with a connection to Hashem and a realization that we are small and insignificant relative to Hashem, and give us a feeling of attachment to Hashem. So it's not just a reminder, but it's also, I don't want to call it a magic trick because that's not the right word, but it's like this powerful thing that Hashem put in matzah. Eat matzah on Pesach, and this is what it's going to feel like. Okay? So that's the power that matzah has. That's why it's called lechem aini, like the bread of poverty, or the bread of basic lechem aini could mean affliction, but it could also mean bread of poverty. It shows us that we are poor. What that means is our power is pure. Our own abilities are poor, and really everything is just operating through powered by Hashem. And matzah gives us this focus on what's right, to recognize that everything is from Hashem, not to make the mistake of thinking that it's all about us, and that's what we are receiving when we eat matzah. Okay, now you should ask yourself a question right now. If Chometz is literally a representation of evil, of the Yetzer Hara, why do we eat it all year round? How come all year round, literally almost every day of the year, Chometz is totally fine? We're going to eat it even on Shabbos and holidays. We have like a special thing to eat it and whatever. So if it's so bad, why is it only 7 days, a week out of the year, that we're refraining from it? Don't we want to stay away from this representation of evil the entire year long? So that's a good question. The answer is that Chometz represents a person feeling his own ability. He's haughty. He's full of himself. He thinks that it's all his power that's operating and doing the things that he's doing. So he works, and he believes that his livelihood is only because of his efforts that he put in. Hashem doesn't play a picture. Yeah, Hashem, we daven, whatever, but really I'm earning the money. And the same with every other area of life. It's like, yeah, I know there's this Hashem, but really I'm the one putting in the effort. So that's what Chometz represents. So matzah is the lesson that that's not the case. But Hashem created the world not that we should live a life of being nullified to Him, and that's the extent of it. So we're just living a life of connecting to Him, and we don't have our own existence. No, Hashem created planet Earth, and this is the way planet Earth operates, and that is that His presence is somewhat hidden in the world, that we have this ego struggle where we think it's all about us and we think what we do brings our results and we leave Hashem out of the picture. But He wants us to dive into that dark world and uncover the godliness. He wants us to be a messenger of Him. So He wants us to use our own selves. He doesn't want us to be nullified into nothing. We're a speck of dirt. That's not who we are. We are something amazing and very, very powerful. But what is that power? That power is not our own power, because we as human beings are so capable. Our power, our superpower, is that we're messengers of Hashem. That's what's powering us. Hashem is really the one that's giving us the ability to do things, and we are a messenger of Him. And that's what our role is in this world, and that's what we're given the power to do. So we have to recognize that we do have our own selves, but that self is only enabled by Hashem, and our job is to reveal the godliness that is all around us in a world where that's hidden. All right, it's not such a big accomplishment to reveal godliness where there's nothing concealing it. If there's nothing concealing it, there's nothing to reveal, so to speak. So everything really is powered by Hashem, and that's called I'm going to use my own term. He doesn't say, he calls it yesh de kedusha, but it's basically like holy self-worth. It's holy self-worth. It's I am so valuable. Hashem gave me unbelievable power to act in this world, to do things in this world, and to bring out godliness in this world. And that's not gaiva. That's not haughtiness. That's holy.
Mission?
What?
Mission?
Mission?
We often say each of us has a mission
Right.
for the soul.
Yeah. So us walking around this world, carrying out our mission, and showing that even though the world looks like it's hiding Hashem, but really Hashem is behind the scenes everywhere, that's not haughtiness. That's his point. That's not haughtiness. So you have to have a balance. The way you have a balance is, so what's the majority of the work? The majority of the work is us operating in, can I call it enemy territory, okay? We're operating in the world of nister, of hiddenness, where Hashem is hidden. And we have to not lose focus of what we're trying to do, and that even though it looks like we have a lot of abilities, those abilities are only powered by Hashem, and we're only here to carry out a shlichus. We're a messenger of Hashem. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to have 1 week where you're going to cleanse yourself of all personal haughtiness. Okay, it's a cleanse. You know, sometimes in the beginning of a diet, you'll do like a cleanse. That's like a thing. That means like hardcore. There's nothing. You're having no carbs. You're having fiber shakes and nothing else. And you rid your body of whatever, all the garbage, and now you're ready to properly start the diet, right? That's my analogy here. So Pesach, we want to rid ourselves completely of any remnant of haughtiness. And that's why we stay as far as we can from Chometz. That's why there's five averos in the Torah not to eat chametz. That's why we'll get to that in a moment, that we have a particular mitzvah to burn it, literally to burn it before Pesach starts, because we need to get it out of our system. Once we do that, the second Pesach's over, now we could regain our balance. We're not angels. We're not living in heaven serving Hashem as angels. We're on planet Earth, and we're in a world where he is concealed. So that's why the entire year, it's okay to have chametz, because it's okay to have self-worth, as long as we recognize, like that's not a bad thing in Judaism, as long as we recognize that it's not personal power, but rather something we were given by Hashem for a heavenly mission. I would just say also, I'm just thinking that this compares to Shabbos as well. 1 day a week on Shabbos is a different topic, but we're given an extra capacity to see Hashem in this world. And that's on Shabbos. Well, why aren't we given that all 7 days? And the answer is, we're given that on Shabbos with a mission to take that and try to bring it into the 7 days. And then the 6 days of work, when, it's not a bad thing to work. The Torah says, Sheishes yamim taseh melachtecha, 6 days you will do your work. But then it's a whole new focus, because Shabbos reset me to recognize what this is all about. And now I could go through my 6 days properly. And the same thing is with Pesach. Pesach is a cleanse. Pesach, we get rid of everything. We get rid of all of the haughtiness that's within us. And now we could go back to our year. So the beginning of the year, and I guess in this sense, this year is Pesach. We're only going to eat matzah. We're going to eat the bread of humbleness, the bread that doesn't get all haughty and blown up and rise and become big and special. And we're going to totally stay as far as we possibly can away from chametz, because we realize how terrible that is, how much we want to stay away from that. Once we've got that for 7 days, now it's in us. Now it's within us. And I would just say, it's going to be within us if we're mindful of this, right? We're mindful of this. We know that when Pesach is coming, we got to do our job. We got to get rid of the bread and the crackers and the this and clean and whatever. But we must not lose focus of the spiritual intent behind all this, and that is to cleanse ourselves of our gaiva, of our feeling that we're the ones operating the world. For 7 days, we're going to take that completely out of our system. And the best way to set ourselves up for that is to burn it. To burn it. To literally make a ritual where you're going to take all of your the gaiva that you have within you and put it in a flame and watch it burn. That's the greatest thing you could do. If you want to get rid of something, make a big ceremony and throw it in a fire. It's an amazing way to do it. That's what we're doing on the external level to chametz right before. That's called bir chametz, the mitzvah to burn the chametz before Pesach. But when we're doing that, what we're really doing is we're burning the gaiva within us, and we're cleansing ourselves, we're purifying ourselves, and that's gonna set ourselves up for the 7-day cleanse. And after that, we get back to our year. We operate in our world, but now we've internalized a whole new perspective on life. We know that we do have a power, but that power is only given to us by Hashem, and it's only also powered by Hashem, and it's for the purpose of us being a messenger in this world to go to the places where His presence is not shining clearly. It's hidden, it's covered up, it's foggy, and bring that out and reveal that to the world. So the last thing he ends off with, just one small piece, is that just hearing this, just listening to this and hearing this could help us prepare that mindset. He says the best way to actually pull this off is not just to prepare our minds and to try to have this thought process, when we're burning the Chometz and we're getting rid of our Chometz and when we're eating our matzah, but most importantly, to daven for it. Right? We could do that right now. In the days leading up, the weeks leading up to Pesach, we can ask Hashem, please help me merit to see what's really happening here, to see behind this facade, to see behind myself and realize who is really powering me and what I'm here for and the mission I'm here to carry out.